Okay, fight fans and fight fiends, welcome back to Manny's Thoughts. I, of course, am Manny Montreal or Manny MTL. Make sure to check me out on thefightcity.com, YouTube, and Twitter. So, on this special holiday edition, I don't have that much to talk about, seeing as how there isn't that many fights going down this week. But I will say this. The Stevensons-Shahusky fight went down, and a lot of people were impressed, basically because he did what he said he would. Now, if you went to the Pascal fight, you are used to being let down, but this wasn't the case. Beautiful card, and as predicted, a KO from Adonis. Now, a lot of people are saying Adonis is doing the wrong thing. Basically, first off, he's with Heyman, so automatically everything he does is going to be associated with the devil. Now, I personally think it's very smart of him not to take on Kovalev immediately, and I'll explain to you why. Because no matter what the outcome is between Kovalev and Pascal fighting, Adonis wins. I'll explain. So, first off, let's go with the first possibility in the realm of the world where I'll call it, where pigs fly. So, in the world where pigs fly, Pascal beats Kovalev. Not only does he beat him, but Kovalev has a rematch clause, therefore causing two fights. Now this does slow down an already aging Adonis by at least a year and a half to 2 years before actually being able to unify the belts. However, I do think he'll be able to find a couple suitable opponents from here till there. Now, rematch ensues. Creates scenario A1. Now, scenario A1 where pigs fly and shoot rainbows out their ass. In the rematch, Pascal wins again, creating the ultimate scenario. A1, pigs can fly. Alright, so, option 2, Pascal and Kovalev fight, and Kovalev crushes Pascal. Alright, well now, no matter what shape Pascal's in after the loss from that fight, Adonis has himself lined up a fight against Kovalev, and then a fight against Pascal. Win or lose against Kovalev, he'll fight Pascal because of all the bad blood that they've caused between each other. So far, win-win for Adonis. Last possible option. And this is the scary one. In between all this planning and hoping and waiting for fights to go down, somebody gets hurt, arrested, shot, caught on drug charges, or brought before some sort of tribunal. Now, all these things are possible. Pigs can indeed fly. But, I will say this. More than likely, we're going to see Pascal get knocked out by Kovalev. Adonis have a chance to unify the belts against Kovalev. And then in a win or lose situation, no matter what, probably have one of the biggest Canadian showdown fights ever between Adonis Stevenson and Pascal. Now obviously the ultimate scenario would be that both men are dripping in gold belts. However, even if both men have been dealt losses by Kovalev, it would still be a Canadian super fight. Therefore, I think Kovalev, Pascal, all that, although it is in the future and we can't predict nothing, I really do think Stevenson's going the right way. So, this leads me to my UFC news. Rampage Jackson got signed back to the UFC. However, Scott Coker from Bellator had issue with this, considering that he's saying they're still on contract with them. Now, Rampage responded by saying they were in breach, and I don't think the UFC would move and make announcements as such if they didn't think their asses were covered. This leads me to my newest conspiracy for all of you. Now, everyone knows that Reebok has made some sort of deal with the UFC to sign some sort of big endorsement deal, a la NHL, NFL, where everybody would wear Reebok. However, there is now talk of Bellator doing the same with Adidas. What has people talking is that, all things considered, Adidas and Reebok are actually the same company. So, this leads you back to the all-time question: was it the chicken or the egg? What came first? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you guys just a couple little tidbits of things to close out this holiday season of 2014. First off, just something a little weird to talk about. If you remember when MMA first came out, people were talking about how it was never going to last, how it was going to be banned, it's going to be illegal, it's gone too far, it makes no sense, it's crazy, it's whimsical, they called it pretty much everything you can imagine. Well, I've got 2 new sports for you, and well, if you want, send me your comments about them, because, well, at least they're a conversation starter. First off, look into something called the Hip Show. It's from Russia, and it's 2-on-2 fighting. Yeah, you heard me, 2-on-2. And there's a whole maze that get up, and they gotta jump around stuff, and there's obstacles, and ropes for them to swing off of. It's insane. They're wearing headgear, and there's more than one ref, and it seems pretty organized. These Russians, I really gotta hand it to them. However, this leads me now to Poland, which they have a team fighting championship league, and basically that's 5-on-5 fighting, which is some of the most insane stuff I've ever seen in my life, because believe it or not, there are situations where you'll find yourself 5-to-1. And it's never pretty for that one guy. However, there is some nice highlight reels of dudes that survived for pretty long. This leads me to my last statement for this week's show. So, I just want to bring up some names that either A, made a big impact in 2014, B, are probably going to make a big impact in the very near future based on what they did in 2014, and lastly, were the name that I had to mention for this year. So, combat sports, all things related, I will start with Thai boxing. First off, Petabunchav. Now, if you know anything about Thailand, most of these Thai fighters use the name of their gyms. So his name's actually Petabunchav FA Group. Look him up. The guy's a Thai machine. Next, Jiu-Jitsu. If you're into Jiu-Jitsu at all, and I suggest you get into it, Kit Canaria. Now, this kid might not end up in the UFC one day, but if you're into looking into what these guys are going to be doing 5 years from now, these are the sports I suggest you look into, because this is where you learn the fundamentals of stuff, people. Next, wrestling. Greco-Roman, more precisely, or collegiate at least. Penn State's David Taylor. Look into this kid. As far as I can tell, there's no steroids involved, and he's a frickin' farm boy killer. Next, kickboxing. Ontario's own Joe Vattalini. Look into him. He's an Italian kid from Ontario. Kickboxing is a hell of a sport. I do not believe I know of any fighter who is undefeated. And it is one of those sports that even dudes with a 50-50 record have a big name in that sport. It's a fantastic sport to watch. If you ever get a chance, go look into him. Right now he's fighting at Glory and holds the belt. Next, MMA. I had no choice, people. Conor McGregor. Holy shit. This is what happens when you say what you're gonna do and you actually deliver. A lot of people are bitching that this guy got sent to the top a little too fast, but that's what happens when you talk a good game and actually back it up. So I got nothing wrong with this guy heading forward. Here's the truth. No matter what, everybody reaches their breaking point, and I don't wish it to him, so none of you should either. I see big things for 2015 for him, and nothing but good. Lastly, boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one dude that fought his heart out, fought anyone that they would give him, and fought the most. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. I love this dude. Every boxing fan and nut, even if they're not a fan of the actual person, they are a fan of his boxing prowess. He is a force, something that hasn't been seen since Tyson. I enjoy watching this young man fight thoroughly, and if you've never seen him fight, make sure you look into him. As a little side note, I want to mention Montreal favorite David Lemieux, who was in the same weight category as Gennady and might end up facing him in the next year or two. I will say this, 2014 was marked as the year of his return, and I look forward to a 2015 with him in it. That is it for me this week. Make sure you tune in to my other shows on my YouTube channel. Check me out on thefightcity.com. As usual, folks, I'm Manny MTL. I'll see you guys next week.